F.B. Meyer was a pastor in England for a number of years and has left in his legacy works that are still worth reading. In one of them I was looking over not too long ago. He includes these words: "This is the bitterest of all, to know that suffering need not have been, that it is the result of indiscretion and inconsistency, that it is the harvest of one's own sowing, that the vulture which feeds on the vitals is a nestling of one's own rearing. Ah me, this is pain." He writes it in a book that goes on to describe the terrible consequences of David's fall, as he reminds all of us that David is not unique, nor are his Psalms of Lament meant just for him, because David speaks for all of us and writes for all of us when he addresses the subject of personal failure and disappointment in oneself. A few hundred yards of debris. Before too many years of your life, you'll have your own, just as I have mine. And the question is, what are you going to do about them? Because the last person you find in your life that you can forgive is yourself. And it does a number on you. A person who lives under self-condemnation becomes rather ineffective in ministry. And it's easy to get that way if you have a tender heart. And who wants anybody as a minister that doesn't have a tender heart? And we can be our worst enemies. In Psalm 32, we have a man, Psalm 31, we have a man with a broken heart. And we don't know exactly what it was that prompted him before writing the 31st Psalm, but it was serious. And this is one of the lament Psalms, otherwise known as petition Psalms, where it's a cry out to God. It's not a Psalm 51 where there's been an abject failure and laying out of a full confession, where David begins, "That be merciful to me, O God." But this is a psalm of lamenting some things that have occurred. And he calls on God. "In you, O Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me never be ashamed. In your righteousness, deliver me. Incline your ear to me. Rescue me quickly. Be to me a rock of strength, a stronghold to save me. For you are my rock." Mark that. Run ahead to verse 4 that ends with, "You are my strength." We get the chorus, "You are my strength when I am weak. You are the pleasure that I seek. You're the treasure that I seek. You're my all in all." We get it from there. And look at verse 14. "You are my God." He is calling out to the one who is his rock, his strength, and his God. Just as you and I must do when we hit times like this. And as Meyer says, it's the bitterest of all to know that it's your fault. You have no one else you should try to blame, but you look within, and rather than condemning yourself, you look up and say to the Lord God in all honesty, "My rock, my strength, my God, hear me when I call." In so many words, this situation is eating me alive. When you get down to the core of the psalm, which begins about verse 9, you have to pause and do a little extra analysis, because you can there analyze some details. Verse 9, "Be gracious to me, O Lord, for..." Here's a reason. "Because I am in distress. My eyes wasted away from grief. He's been weeping. He says, my soul and my body also. Because we're in distress, sorrow accompanies us. And the difficult thing I might add about ministry is that Sunday comes every 3 days. I mean, it's there. It's coming, baby. And it doesn't go away because you had a bad Thursday or because you had a fight at home on Saturday. Sunday's coming and you're on. These are realities that you cannot escape, and over the years you learn not to try. You learn to cry out for strength from your rock, from your God. Because we're in distress, sorrow accompanies us. That's verses 9 and 10. My eyes wasted away. My life is spent with sorrow. By the way, I love this about David. I love it that he didn't fake it. Well, he did for that period of time, but other than that, he's all out there, and he writes about it. Interesting, during those horrible months of his adulterous relationship, we have no record of a song. How can you sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? So, whatever may be the need, he is in distress, and sorrow accompanies him. Read on. My life is spent with sorrow, verse 10. My years with sighing. My strength has failed because of my iniquity. Here's a second reason. Because we're sinful, guilt accuses us. You hear it through the night. You feel that index finger in your sternum. You caused this. You said that. You offended. And guilt just accuses us. It's the way he says it in verse 10. My strength has failed because of my iniquity. My body is wasted away. And then to make matters even worse, there are others around that accuse us. Look at the next part, verse 11. Because of all my adversaries, I have become a reproach, especially to my neighbors. An object of dread to my acquaintances. Those who see me in the street flee from me. They go to the other side of the street when they see me coming. I read recently that the number one quality missing in type A people is self-awareness. It's good to remember. Because many of you are type A. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of us running loose, and but type A's can be so engaged in the stuff, in the issue, in the action, and whatever it may be, the discipline, that you miss you. And that's the part that ministers to people. You need to be a good student of yourself. You need to know where you're strong, know where you're weak, and know what your limits are, and not be afraid to acknowledge it.